Yo guys, what's up? We're at the end of 1939 with another Merry Christmas for Germany and the Soviet Union. Both of them, they had just split up Poland and divided it amongst each other. Hitler's plan, der Anschluss, capturing all the areas lost after World War I and re-establishing the old borders, was a success. So let's see what Japan was doing. Because after the Spanish Civil War that started in the summer of 1936, Japan started copying the behavior of Nazi Germany and invaded China on the 7th of July 1937 after an incident with Chinese troops at the Marco Polo Bridge. This was the start of the Second Sino-Japanese War, which is believed to be the actual start of World War II. But ever since 1931, China and Japan had been going at it. A depression in Japan and a person called Hideki Tojo gave birth to this war. A lot of victories for Japan initially. Shanghai fell, Nanking fell, the Chinese government was relocated to Chongqing, and the war continued until 1939 when Japan controlled most major cities, but they saw too much resistance in the vast countryside. It was a very hard battle, a tug-of-war, from August until November 1937 for Shanghai and the month of December for Nanking. Between December 13th and late January, about 300,000 Chinese soldiers had been tortured and killed. The Chinese had their revenge in March and April 1938, winning a battle in Taizhuang. So Japan was looking for revenge and attacked Wuhan in October 1938. As a final touch, air attacks were carried out over Chongqing and millions were affected, dead, injured, or homeless. So we go into 1939 when suddenly China finds new strength. They defeat the Japs in 4 areas and take back a lot of ground. So by the end of 1939, China was feeling so confident that they were considering a large-scale attack. Xushan was free, Zhaoyang, Changshe, and Guangxi. So we take World War II into 1940 because Hitler is still negotiating with Great Britain, who are about to replace Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain with Winston Churchill. So Japan continues its defense and sees that the Chinese are not that good around weapons. They have limited experience with modern combat and they don't have a huge military industry. China was lost and ultimately forced to surrender to Japan, replacing its governments with puppet governments favorable to Japan. So at this point in time, we have to take a look at Winston Churchill before looking at Hitler's invasion in the West. Winston Churchill was a member of the Conservative Party and elected as Prime Minister on the 10th of May 1940. While Britain was ruled by George VI. Churchill was Minister of Ammunition during World War I, and he was the person who called for attention from USA right at the start of World War II in September 1939. Now 8 months later, Roosevelt was a partner, but most Americans stayed neutral and saw the British a bit as snooty, not to mention that London was gonna get bombed every day since September. USA tried to hold down the boat in 1940 during the battle for France, but later they were forced to come out of their neutral position. But from September 39 until December 41, USA remained neutral, while they had an agreement with Winston Churchill for supplies. It wasn't until the 7th of December 1941, before the unannounced attack on Pearl Harbor, that Germany reached out to Tokyo for a future alliance and a pact against the United States. How did it come that far? Japan had replaced its puppet governments in China with a large collaborationist Chinese army to maintain security. By 1941, Japan held most of the east coast of China and Vietnam down. But still they suffered a lot of casualties from resistance forces, so Japan switched to war crimes in North China after earlier sabotage actions from China. They now controlled the east and the north and were heading west, carefully planning an attack on colonial territories and Pearl Harbor when America declared war on Japan and Germany on USA. Another final fact about the Japanese: they were brainwashed with the samurai code, meaning fighting until your last drop of blood, beheading, disembowelment, stuff like that, with its ultimate form, kamikaze banzai attacks, which we now know as acts of terrorism. See you on the next one, guys, for the Battle of Scandinavia in April 1940. Peace.